Mercedes-Benz India has had its best quarter in its history. And leading that charge is the first Indian Managing Director and CEO of the company, Santosh Iyer. Santosh, thanks for talking to us. You've taken charge on Jan 1st, and this has been our best quarter. So clearly a great kickoff for your tenure at the top. So to start off with, if you can just tell us, the first 3 months, absolutely fantastic. What's led to these numbers? Is it a bit of the COVID tail effect, still a bit of pent-up demand, supplies easing up, overall market conditions? So, just to give us your sense on, this kind of fantastic performance in the first quarter.
No, thanks, Hormazd, for joining us. And also, this first quarter, I think it's a combination of factors. Firstly, the brand is at the highest level of desirability in India. And this has come because of a lot of initiatives in the past. So right from, when I talk about products, the Long-wheelbase C-Class, which is tailor-made for India, to the new business model, which is the retail of the future, which is more customer-centric. I think all of them pay into the success for us in the last 8 years. We have been leading the market in India, and the first quarter is no exception. Of course, we have a huge order bank. Our production colleagues really pushed as hard as possible to get as many cars for our customers, and I think the results and the numbers speaks for itself. So overall, a great start for us for this year, and hopefully this trend continues also for the balance 3 quarters.
So could we say that 2023 could be the best year yet in the company's history? I mean, anything can happen, but if there are still blue skies ahead, and supply chain, everything on order, could this trend continue?
No, for sure. We are clearly committed and looking forward for a double-digit growth even on the last year numbers. And the first quarter we did 17%. So technically this should be a record year for us. But the headwinds are coming from the availability of products. For example, we don't have the GLC for the first 6 months of this year, so that will come in the second half of the year. But more importantly, also we had to take 2 price increases this year, one in Jan, one in April now. And if I look at the forex going up around 91 to a euro, you never know if there are further price increases in the future. So all this adds to a lot of uncertainty. But at the current state, with the current order bank, with the current I would say momentum, surely this should be the best ever year.
You're talking about price increases. I just want to touch upon that. And Santosh, I mean, it's kind of gone against what one would expect. Prices have gone up, but demand and sales have also gone up. So really what's happening? Is it that there's a new norm in what value is? People are accepting, let's say today a crore is quite normal for some of your model lines. I mean, is this just a change in mindset of the consumer where they feel that they're willing to pay now, and has this happened after COVID, in fact?
No, I think we as a brand are conscious to operate in a different segment now. Coco Chanel once said, luxury starts where necessity ends. So technically speaking, also we have seen in the past crisis, globally also luxury brands do well at the time of crisis. Even if the economic downturns, they are able to recover and do better. And this is seen in all markets. So for us, we clearly have betted on the top end of the spectrum in terms of our growth, in terms of also the product positioning, product offering. So a lot of content into all the top end products. Even if it is priced higher, we feel the customer is ready to give that. They are looking for value and not just for price. And if you are able to get that right, I think there is demand at that end of the spectrum, and that should continue, because that's what globally we also see the top end vehicle. There is a growth irrespective of market conditions or economic conditions in different parts.
So just to touch upon again, let's say the market conditions over here, or let's say things which can hamper growth. The sense one gets, it's not so much now the price, people have accepted that, but just a stability in policy, in regulation. Do you think this is sometimes more important than increases in duty, which have also happened in the past? Yeah.
No, that's true. I think a very stable regulatory framework allows us to plan better. For example, EVs today, they don't have any road tax. They are at a much better GST rate. And though there is no commitment from the government that this will continue, but there is an increasing feeling this will continue. The government is committed for a transition to EV. And with that, we can do further investments. We decided to invest on the EQS localization during peak of COVID because we believe that these policies will continue. The car prices, if you see now an EQS versus an S-Class, an EQS definitely is much more lesser expensive also compared to an EQB versus a GLB. So the government policy framework being consistent will definitely help us to plan long-term investments and also grow the market as such.
Right. So I'll be getting into the EV part of it, but just looking right now at your model range, you've got a pretty wide model range right now, and but I think it seems that the concentration is more to the higher end. Let's say E-Class being the real core and the pillar. That's where your center of gravity is. Is there a conscious effort to move more towards the higher end of your range in terms of even volumes? I know you've got the GLA and the A sedan, but clearly looks like the focus is going towards the top end.
Yeah, so let me clarify. We want to grow all the three segments. So we have the compact luxury, which starts with the GLA, the A class. Then we have the core luxury, which is the E class, GLE, and of course the top end S class and above. We want to grow in all segments, but not grow at the bottom. The bottom we have left in each segment to maybe rivals, competitors to take care of, you can say, products and pricing. But at the top end of every segment we need to grow, and that's very clear also to our partners, to us from an India strategy perspective. Adding to the products is also brands. I think we have a very big spread. The Mercedes-Benz brand is the core, and on that you have an AMG on the performance side, a Maybach on the I would say the top end luxury side, and then you add an EQ on the electric brand. So this portfolio of brands and products as a combination, offering different price points, different kind of products, I think that's quite potent also for the success and also the offering for the customer asset. So we would be there, but top end in each segment.
Right. And Santosh, again, is this what is also driving a lot of growth and demand, having as wide a spread, multiple brands, and just to take this to the next level? Clearly, yes, double-digit growth, but we are still a very, very low base compared to other bigger markets. I mean, if you see the percentage of luxury car in the market, it's absolutely a fraction. What do you think it will take to kind of, let's say, really get into serious numbers, which kind of, obviously China is something at the other extreme, but, to get to the numbers of more mature markets?
I think one is, if you look at the overall cultural aspect also, and only 4% of India's millionaires, HNI millionaires own a luxury car. So there is still 96% who have money in their pocket, they still don't buy the car. So that's one set of audience that comes from the cultural bias, the concept of more saving for the unknown, and also to some extent on the tax compliance, because if you see direct taxes are quite low, very few are in the direct tax, most of the tax collection is indirect. So buying a car, that also a luxury car, may attract not the best, and therefore it's only business and people who are, one is they want to consume luxury, and secondly they don't have any apprehension to buy these cars. On the contrary, when I look at luxury watches, you see that's seeing a boom, and the only reason that if I think of it is it has no registration technically, compared to cars which you need to register, you need a document there, and here it's only an invoice. So I think there is a growth in luxury, so that's now one tick that consumers want to consume luxury products. The second is this entire thing about getting into cars. To some they seem as depreciating asset, but luxury goods are in that sense not bought rationally. So this will take some time. As far as we are concerned, we said let's focus completely on customer experience in this meanwhile, because as the market matures, if we don't behave like a true luxury brand in offering an experience for which the customer is paying for, we can never grow this market, and we cannot communicate. One is from the product side, other is from the experience side. So we internally we call something called strategic patience. 28 years in India, strategically waiting, patiently waiting, and we have a capacity here in the plant here. We have we can go for 40,000 cars. So we are all set. We have the right products, right partner network. I think our franchisee partners, our supplier network is well established. A very good business model to run with this, and then of course all the external elements should also fall in place for the next set of growth. But till that time, double-digit growth I think should happen for the next couple of years in India.
Right. So I mean, looking at this compounded, so when do you think you can hit your capacity? What's the forecast for that? I mean, you still have a couple of years to go.
Yeah, even if you take a double-digit growth over the next 5 to 10 years, we have the capacities actually. So therefore, I think the constraint is not capacity or capex. As such, the constraint is the nature and the structure of the market for buying luxury goods. Of course, a lot of people argue, why not cheap cars? Then you can grow the market. But that's not our brand. That's, you know, right. You go back to our history in 1886. There were two. We went into luxury. There is another brand which went into mass-producing cars in the US. Right. So from the evolution of cars itself, we have not been into the volume, but more. So I think we are back to the roots. We want to be clearly focused on being at that end of the spectrum and compete with a different and audience, and not with you know, the mass and go further down on the segment.
But it's very interesting what you said. So you feel some of the kind of, I wouldn't say let's say hurdles, but dampeners are, we still have this socialist hang up of luxury cars, and it's people aren't they have the money, but they still aren't willing to spend as much on this. Do you think that's one thing? But do you think, very frankly, let's be honest, the duties are very high? Do you think that is fundamentally, there's a direct correlation between customs duty and demand? I'm sure there would be.
No, for sure. And that's where the rational mind comes up. There is no doubt cars have duties, and mostly the CBUs, because right. For us, 97% of our portfolio is a CKD. We have 15% of duty on the kits, and then it's the same GST and the road tax. But in general, for a car, you know, it's 70-80% is taken by the government, which is quite a lot of money for a customer. And it's only irrational consumption which will drive. You know, when you look at suits, when you look at watches, it's not for buying the time. And if you look into the core rational way of buying that product, you will never ever buy maybe some of them. And therefore, I see a demographic change also needs to happen in India. But a lot of young people are studying abroad. You know, they are consuming luxury in other parts when they are studying in Europe, US, and when they are now coming back, they want the same car as they want their other stuff. And that's what's driving demand now. That's what driving, you know, even in the top end luxury. For example, an S-Class, now we see an average age to be 38 years. So it's not the traditional wealth, it's the new wealth which is coming. These guys are, you know, exposed, driving a car in London, and now you come back and buy it. But till the time the rationalism prevails and which is, you know, societally, the threshold to luxury will take that time to take that barrier and jump as such.
But you know, that's interesting. So I think clearly what we are looking at is, you know, I think of course, price is important, cost is important. But you know, earlier when you spoke, people are spending more, and that leads me to the whole discounting game in the luxury car segment. Clearly, what we do know is that I think Mercedes hangs on to their prices the best. Other brands, we do know a discount. Is this a challenge? I mean, how are you countering this? Is it the fact that you are giving transparency now with your new retail model? Does that help? Or is there also pressure? Because quite frankly, you know, let's say if you get something, a segment above one of your products at the same price, it is tempting for others. So, A, is it a challenge, and how do you counter this? Again, is it with the experiences you offer, or is it just keeping the models as up to date as possible?
I think we are a firm believer that you need discounts for price correction. Technically, if you price a product correctly based on the equipment it has, customer sees value. So today I would say that we have priced the products correctly, and we have also put so much of equipment in the car so that there is a price value equation along with the brand when a customer is buying a Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, sure. I just don't want to interrupt you there, but I mean, sometimes, let's be honest, does the customer see the value you think he should see, or is it?
Exactly. You know, this was the biggest question by our dealers when we were transitioning to the new model. Indian customers, they all want to bargain, they all want to have discounts. And we said, are we now moving? Are we a real luxury player? And should we not understand our customers? And we took this leap of faith. And I would only say we have done more than 25,000 cars ever since we have transitioned to the new business model. We have been able to communicate clearly. Customers appreciate what we are trying to do, because there is no discount on these cars, which means better residual value. You take an example of a GLC, you know, the facelift 2019, which we had, that was around 54 lakhs. Today, many of the customers, after using for 3 years, if they go to sell that car, they will get 54 lakhs, because the new GLC will be at 75, on road 80, 85. And so here, by giving good content, so the new GLC of course will be a 48 volt, it's a different technology, more content, more NTG7, more. So The thing is, you keep on growing on the price ladder by giving more equipment. Your current products which you are selling will definitely command a better residual value, and I think customers who make this kind of money, they know their maths much better than what we. So they put all this in equation, they look at the residual value, what the content is, and that gives us. Doesn't mean we don't discount. Let me also say, for example, we have unique challenge. We have a MY22 car, which we are selling today, not because we couldn't sell it, but because the parts didn't come of that car in December. Now we have produced that car, and now we are selling. So we also understand the customer will not buy that car without offering a certain level of discount, service package, whatever. So we do that. But in general, discount should be only done if there is a price correction required. Else, there is not. If we have priced it wrong, or the product is not working, or we need to then consider what should we do on the product side, and not discount just won't simulate the market.
But do you feel this is also a challenge, and you will lose customers if you with other brands which are really throwing a lot of let's say discount, freebies, that sort of thing?
No, in the short term, yes, because maybe all customers will not be able to see through it, and they will definitely look at a deal being given. But like to like, over a period of time, we still feel that customers would appreciate, will go in there. And anyway, we have exited the volume game. Though we are leading this market from a headquarter perspective and India strategy, it's not a prerequisite that the volume is what we are looking at. For us, if we lead in customer experience, if we do our basics of getting the right product for the market, we feel volume will be an outcome, revenues will be an outcome, because one is the way to look at volume, second is the total top line. The mix that we are selling today, apart from the volume share, is completely different. It's completely different. We are 25% of our volumes are all more than 1.5 crore plus cars. It's a very different audience, it's a very different customer base, and we feel our competitor also are doing a good job, but they are catering to a different customer, price sensitive customer, and so they are catering to a different customer niche, so which is fine.
Right. And Santosh, earlier let's talk on just changing tack to, let's say, the production over here, your manufacturing footprint over here. You said 95% of your vehicles were all CKD. Clearly, this is Mercedes-Benz's largest CKD plant.
Yes.
What's the next step? I mean, more CKD, or we're practically fully CKD'd out that way. Some of the AMGs you can't make here because the engines are hand assembled there. Is there a slightly deeper level of localization one can see, or are the volumes still not quite there? And let's say with the way Europe is going fully towards EV, we might be last man standing in ICE. Could we see headquarters looking at India as even an ICE base in a deeper sense?
I think firstly, to answer the second question, on the headquarters side, we have a clear goal of ambition 2039, which is carbon neutrality completely, not just tailpipe emission, but full carbon neutrality. By
so it's a long time still.
Yeah, but we are already in 23. It's 16 years to achieve 100% carbon neutrality. Tailpipe emission wise, we have already said that by 2025, all new launches will be EV.
Right.
And by 2030, which is next 7 years, we will be out of combustion engines worldwide.
Right.
In markets where it allows.
Correct.
So now I come to your question of India.
That's the whole thing, in markets where it allows. Yeah.
So in India, maybe it continues a bit more for a couple of years. But if you have to achieve in the headquarter perspective a carbon neutral organization, we cannot continue combustion engines forever. It may be another couple of 1 years, 2 years, 3 years maybe. But we will also have to get in 100% EV. Not only EV, but right now we are also working on our dealers. They have to be carbon neutral. Our suppliers have to be carbon neutral. The car has to be made from recyclable material. So by 2030, 40% of our car will be made from a recyclable material. So this is just not tailpipe emission. It's beyond that. So and on the EV, which also means we have a responsibility to transition this market to accepting EV. So the first question was, is customers ready for EV? And therefore we did one experiment with the EQC 2 years back when we were challenged. Then we localized an EQS. Now we again did a EQS, the GLB versus the EQB, and we have seen customers are ready. That's not the challenge. The challenge now is, can we get products at the right price points, at the right segments, so that we are able to cater to this. So with this, I think in the next 4 years, our clear challenge, or I would say objective, is to get 25% of our sales should be EVs in India.
Right.
And with this, we set up for a 100% transition in the next 6 to 8 years time, even in a market like India.
Right. So short answer is ICE this is it, and there's going to be no further investment or push on ICE in India.
Yeah, for new models, yes. Whenever we launch new cars, we will definitely invest. But then, as I said, globally, no new combustion engine launch after 25, 26. So India will see the same pattern.
So Santosh, we could reach an interesting point where the last of the ICE vehicles will see a very long extended life cycle. Do you think this is something that could happen? And when there's a long extended life cycle, would there be minimal investments in refreshes and things like that, or will it just, you'll just see them kind of live its life out as per market demand?
You know, when what we are seeing, and you know, some of our performance cars, for example, this is the question: will there be the next GT 4-door coupe? If not, I'm buying these cars.
Right.
You know, there are roadsters, there are cabriolets, and now that's what we see. The G, for example, is iconic for many years. It didn't change the design, and it only grew on market value. So maybe the last set of cars which comes, we only see the value to go up irrespective of a facelift or a non-facelift. Of course, we will try to add more technology. The thing with the new MB.OS, which will come from 26, would be the car will never be old, because the operating system, it's like a Apple phone, you know, you get updates every month, you are updating it, you have new features, and similarly our cars will all be able to be updated. So from a software standpoint, the car will be as good as new.
Right.
On the hardware standpoint, yes, there will be an aging on that machine, which we have to take care with some refresh or styling changes and some stuff, but it will be limited for
right.
sure.
And you know, interesting, talking on the software, I think what we are also seeing, and doing it in India as well, subscription seems to be a new revenue stream for certain, you know, let's say products in the car.
Yeah.
You know, bundle services. I mean, even something like four-wheel steering with the
EQS.
10-degree angle on the EQS. I don't know how many takers there are for that, but it seems a bit odd that, you know, you give 5 degrees free and then an extra 5 degrees you have to charge for. So, I mean, what's the thinking behind that, and how are customers reacting to this, and is this really, to be honest, a way for manufacturers to make money as well?
No, sure. See, end of the day, we were able to offer limited customization in India because of a CKD market. CKDs are all built to order. So, which means we used to plan for the customer, build the kits, get it here and give them. So, they were always saying, can I select my own trim? Why should I pay something? A memory package, you know, it's a classic example. You have the front driver seat memory package. Some customers say, I always have a chauffeur. I don't need it in the front. So, now how do we do this? In software, this becomes easier.
Right.
So maybe everyone doesn't need a 10-degree angle. So why should I load that in the car and give it and price the, say, 50% of customers who will never ever use that feature because they are having a chauffeur, they don't find that expense. So it's more coming from the customer journey. Second, we are also used to paying for services every year, be it an oil change or be it filters. In EV, there is now a filter, there is no oil,
so
but you have a software.
Right.
You pay for some service like a parking assist, which was never there when you bought a car, but now we are offering you a parking assist. After 3 years, you have bought a car, and why not you go out to the online store, shop it and keep it for
but how are customers reacting to this? Because quite honestly, a software upgrade like on your phone, it's always free. You know, so
the basic software will be free even in the future.
Right.
So whichever needs to run the car, telediagnosis, those will be. But if you are adding features like we have now tied up with Google to give customized Google Map navigation in our cars with MB.OS. Now this feature, if you want an enhanced map experience, you have to pay.
And this comes in 2026.
In 2026. So these are newer revenue streams for, of course, for us, for our partners, also for the customer. We are not pushing him by bundling everything in the car. He has or she has the power to select what they want at the time of purchase. And then, of course, maybe I enjoy it for 1 year, then I see it is not much of value, I am able to take it out. Right. So it gives more flexibility to the customer, just not the price which gets added up.
Right. Santosh, I want to turn to products, a little bit of obviously a sensitive topic, especially future products. But I think, you know, new E-Class being globally unveiled clearly eventually will come here again in long wheelbase version. So just your thoughts on the new E-Class, what can we expect from it? And obviously it's a big jump in technology as well.
See, working for this company, the biggest, I would say, kick I have is I get to see some cars much early. And I saw the new E-Class again last year when I was in Stuttgart, end of last year, and it blew my mind away. And also some of the new exciting products. But coming to India is logical, it will come. But we have to remember that the car shown currently, the new E-Class which is being debuted, is a normal wheelbase car.
Right.
And there again the sales start is I think July or August worldwide.
Right.
So now you have to add another at least 8 to 10 months to make it a right-hand drive, left and also a long wheelbase.
Got it.
So if you add these timelines, Q3 of next year is when it can come in India. So to be very practical.
Right.
So definitely we will get it, but I think the current E-Class also is not in the end of life cycle, because even the current 213 has been following an 18-month lag to the global version.
Right.
So in that sense, the life cycle management is managed, and the current cars have enough equipment and content to continue. Of course, the new car also means higher prices because of new technology, new features, and the current cars have a different value proposition moving forward.
Right. And looking at the C-Class again, which you launched, any plans for a long wheelbase version of that? Some of BMW's done it with the 3 and it seems to be working. You've tasted success with the E. Would it be logical to do it on the C-Class, or would it cannibalize a bit of the E-Class and you want to keep a distinction?
See, we feel not really, because we need to be clear on the customer use cases. On E-Class, predominantly weekdays they want to be on the rear seat, and on the weekends they want to drive. On the C-Class, many of our customers drive the car themselves also, and it's a baby S-Class by itself in that sense. So now by having long wheelbase versions, we will actually disturb the lineup also, and in terms of our product offering. So we are clear that in the core luxury, which is E, GLE also comes with an extended wheelbase actually, but that's there worldwide also and in India. We will offer much more space. On the C and the GLC, it will be the standard wheelbase that's being offered across the world as well as in India.
Right. And again, obviously there's going to be a lot of focus on the EVs if you're looking at 2025. That's going to be the thrust of your new model. We've seen all of them there, so SUV versions, I mean, is that something which we will see more and more right now? I mean, what can you share with us on that?
No, surely. I think we are fortunate to have a very good global portfolio, but globally also these cars are in hot demand. We had the best ever EV sales in the last quarter worldwide. We almost doubled the sales numbers on EVs. So with that, getting cars and availability is a challenge. So what we don't want to do is launch a car and it's again not available for 6 months, 1 year. So we are in discussion with headquarters to start getting cars also in terms of getting the numbers before we launch a product or announce a product launch in India. So we want to get all cars, but availability considering the global demand is a challenge, and we are still working on it. Many of them will be CBUs, so we have to look at the price point. We have to see.
So it will be a top down like the EQS SUVs.
Of course, for us the focus is on the top end of the spectrum as such.
So the SUV version of the EQS is a logical.
I think we have the EQS SUV, the EQE SUV. The products are all there. We just showed the Maybach on the EQS again. A couple of days back in Beijing. I already got text from customers asking, is it going to come to India? And you can already take our orders for that. But we are not accepting any orders because we don't have the clarity on timeline. The moment we get the clarity, for us, as I said, we feel customers are ready. If we get the product portfolio in India, we will be able to sell.
Right. And again, sticking to product on AMG, clearly AMG also seeing a transition. We are seeing the last of the V8s, things going to hybridization. We've seen the Monster Eve launch just now. Again, let's say a strong hybrid. Is this going to be again the trend? And clearly, we're going to see the last of the V8s. I think they're all going. So how is the customer reacting to that? I mean, do they really want a slice of the past and to hang on to it? So those are sold out. But going forward, to keep the customer engaged and excited, because different kind of car and hybrids are so much more expensive as well. No,
I would say currently there is a bit of nostalgia. To be very frank, everybody wants the gasoline and the 63s and the 53s, and there is an absolute short supply of 63s worldwide right now. We don't have, even for the Gs, we are not having the car. But when I look at the G4x4 EV concept, that again has received super response in the US, also in India. People are asking, when are you going to get it? So I think it's a matter of time when this transition happens, and then consumers realize there is no other option. Now the AMG is the electric avatar and we go. But in this transition period, I can't say it's a mad rush or it's a lot of emotions of consumers wanting, and therefore for every AMG we are launched, the first question is there a successor? If not, any which ways they are ready to just own the piece of machine and they want to have it. It goes from G63 to the Cabriolet to the GT 4-door that we launched, and a bit more launches that will come this year also.
Right. And Santosh, has been really a fascinating discussion, but just lastly, just want to talk about you personally. How the first 3 months been really in the captain's chair, so to speak? Are things different? You've been with Mercedes for a long time, but now at the helm of the company. I mean, what's changed for you?
Well, I think the 3 months, a lot of focus from headquarters on India, because I had 3 board members coming in Jan in my first 15 days. That was never ever happened in the past. So a lot of pressure with these visits. Of course, as I said, we have a strategic patience for many years. So they are all looking at the market positively and trying to see the potential and exploit what we can do. On the other side, the advantage for working for 14 years in this company is I know many of the colleagues, I know the processes, the systems, but getting into the hot seat, you also feel a sense of responsibility for a larger, because we have more than 2,000 people working here now. We have another 3,000-4,000 people working in the franchisee partners, also in our suppliers. So you get a feeling of responsible for a larger set of I would say people who are directly or indirectly affected by every action that you do. On the other side, I am enjoying it. Of course, it's a lot of responsibility. What I don't like is the attention a lot. I always loved, I thought, MD and CEO, that's a great chair to fill in. But MD and CEO of Mercedes-Benz India, I think that power of the brand and the desirability being so strong, it's really putting a lot of pressure and to really, live up to the expectations of customer, expectation of, I would say, our franchisee partners, and I cannot forget the family, because I cannot compromise even on that side. They have been with me all along. So to manage this, but we have a great team. I think the best part of working here I love is, and I can say with pride, I always feel working for many brands in India, I feel we have the best team in the automotive sector for sure in Mercedes-Benz India.
No, absolutely. I think even we just love working with Mercedes-Benz. But again, coming back to your position, a real matter of pride that first time in whatever, over a quarter of a century, that Mercedes has an Indian CEO. I mean, everyone asking when it would happen, and you've now finally kind of fulfilled that role. So clearly a matter of pride. I mean, but what does it mean, to you personally? What does it say about the company? And quite frankly, now that you're, at this level, you may not even be here, permanently. So clearly you're in the whole global leadership ecosystem of Mercedes-Benz. So one thing is you may move to another market, given the current position as well.
Yeah, so the best part of what I like about Mercedes-Benz AG is it's an international company. Our global CEO Ola Källenius is a Swedish by origin. If you see, even in India, apart from me being an Indian CEO here, I don't have any German colleague, working here. Our CFO, she's a Turkish. My colleague, the head of production, Venkatesh, he's an Indian again, and I have the head of the successor to my sales and marketing role is Lance from New Zealand. Right. So in that sense, the company promotes talent and meritocracy. So absolutely. Once you reach a certain level or a position, you can enjoy that any part of the world in that level. So that's also an aspiration. One of the first thing I told my team when I took over here is, hey, I am here for 4-5 years, I don't know, but I will also move on, and that also means somebody else can take my chair. So I don't want to come up with a thought that now being there next 15 years I am going to be there. Of course the company should grow, will grow, and with this the employees and my colleagues should also grow in different positions and different roles as such, and that's something Mercedes-Benz offers. Respects diversity, not only gender but also from nationality, from thought processes. So I think it's a very good organization, and quite happy and proud to work for this company.
And Santosh, you've done all of us proud as well, first Indian, and doing a great job of it. Congrats on a real great kickoff to your tenure, first 3 months, record sales, and wish you all the best and a lot of success.
Thanks, Hormazd. Thanks. And as I keep saying, Autocar is my go-to-go magazine. I have been 24 years in the industry, but I learned from Autocar. So thanks.
Thank you so much. That's a great endorsement, and really honored to have that from you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thanks.